Hey YouTube! If you're here, I assume that's because, like many of us, you've been feeling a little burned out recently. So many of us have been feeling burned out over the past few years in this wonderful global moment that we're having together. I've just recently started to feel like my old self again, and I attribute a lot of that to a new time management system that I created for myself with no fancy tools or anything, just me, my brain, a journal, and my Google Calendar. And I wanted to share it just in case it might help somebody else who's suffering from burnout, or help somebody make sure that it never happens to them again. Can you hear the lawnmower? We've made it to the time of the lawnmower. The first stage of this time management system was really all about thinking. I think for a lot of us during the pandemic, our priorities probably shifted a lot. I know many of us had a reckoning with work and the meaning of work in our lives, and what we really wanted to be spending our time doing. For this stage, I recommend just using an old-fashioned journal and a pen. I have this Cambridge notebook. It's just a notebook that I picked up from Target. It's the Cambridge edition college ruled journal, and I just use a Papermate Inkjoy pen. These are my favorite pens. They're the best pens in the whole world, bar none. But anyway, I just sat there and I thought on paper about what my goals were. When I start doing this, I just focus on what I'm feeling, because that's the most easy and honest place for me to start. So I focus on things that I think I feel a lot or say a lot. Like if I'm saying, oh my God, I'm so tired all the time, or feeling exhausted, or if I'm excited and eager to do something, and write down the emotions first. And then if they're positive emotions, I think about why I might be feeling those positive emotions and write down the things that I can maintain to continue having those positive emotions. And then if they're negative emotions, I write down why I might be having those negative emotions and focus on what's not working. And when you do this list of emotions and why you're having them, for me, my goals became crystal clear. So mine were things like feeling anxious and tired, and those were happening because I wasn't focusing on my physical and my mental health as much as I should be. And another one was an eagerness to be more creative and focus on passion projects. And from there, I actually came up with 4 main goals for myself that I wanted to focus on. Focus on physical health, focus on mental health, find time for creative passion projects, and advance a few very specific programs that I've been working on at work. What I just showed you is a very brief example of what this might look like. My actual goals journaling session took me a few hours and honestly several pages of notes and mental ramblings before I came up with something that I felt was true and that I was comfortable with. So take your time here. The next step is more journaling, but instead of focusing on your emotions, you're just going to focus on listing out the specific actions, very specific actions, that will get you to achieve those big goals that you set out for yourself. For me, I started with physical health because it felt like the easiest, honestly, to tackle, and thought about things like I want to exercise more. So I personally really love Orange Theory. I knew I wanted to do that 3 times a week. But if I was going to do that, I also was going to be sore, so I needed to make time for stretching. I needed to be well rested, and I knew that I needed to make a more regular sleep schedule for myself. And I also wanted to eat healthier, and that meant things like meal planning, meal prepping, pre-tracking my meals, and all of those things that support eating healthier. If I would have just put something like exercise more and not planned for the tasks that include like booking those classes, driving there, making sure they fit into my schedule, they wouldn't have realistically happened. So it's important to really think about every single specific action around each thing that you'll need to achieve your goals. The next step was to attribute a time estimate to all of these different tasks. And this part of the process becomes the bedrock of the calendar setup that ultimately I use every day. So if you do decide to try this for yourself, I would recommend just being really brutally honest with yourself about how long it will take you to do things, which I know sometimes can be easier said than done. And in many cases, even give yourself more time to accomplish a task than you think that you're going to need. All that's left is to actually set up the calendar itself, which I'm excited to show you, but let's head to the office for that. The first step in setting up this tool is to pick the tool that you're going to use. I just use my good old free Google Calendar. but you can use something fancier if you want. There are many calendar tools out there. The most important feature to look for is just the ability to categorize events in a certain way and to be able to share different categories with different people. So once you've picked your tool, the first thing to do is set up different calendars or categories for each of the different goals that you created in those journaling sessions, as well as each of the functions that you determined your calendar has to do. The calendars that I've created for myself are a personal calendar for like birthdays, events, and things like that, an appointments calendar, a family calendar, one for each of my 3 main goals, and then one I just shared my work calendar with myself, which stands as the 4th goal. That's where I plan that 4th goal. One for my luteal phase, one for my plan to plan calendar, which is very important, we'll talk about in a second, and one for vacation and travel. You can create a new calendar by clicking the plus button on, it says other calendars, and then create new calendar. Once it's there, you can just name it, put a description if you want. I don't really use those, but you can if you want to, and then click create calendar. If you want to share a calendar that you've already created with someone, like say I want to share this appointments calendar, I would click into settings and sharing, and then scroll down here, and then you can see you can share it with specific people. The next step is to create time blocks using events for the entire week. So I'm going to start by working on the physical goal that I made for myself. I'm going to start by creating a time block for 8 hours of sleep. And then I want 4 different blocks for the gym, or 3, I'm sorry. And it doesn't matter where we're putting them at this point, I'm just creating the time for myself. I'm gonna want 4 different 30-minute time blocks for stretching. You can actually, I think, click on these and duplicate. So then I'm gonna need 2 hours for meal planning. I'm gonna need 4 hours for meal prepping. And then I'm gonna need an hour for pre-tracking. So now I have this jumble of events and I want to start to place them in my calendar where I think that they're going to go and they're going to fit. Like I said before, I already shared my work calendar with my personal calendar down here, so I can start to sort of fit them around different work-related tasks. So I'm going to start to go ahead and do that here and drag and drop where I think that I'd want those gym blocks to go. And you can already see where there will be an overlap for things that I might be doing at work already and things that I want to do to focus on my physical health. And later, those are going to have to be decisions that I make when I plan each week on how and where I'll spend my time. Okay, so I just went through real quick and made time blocks for the mental health planning and passion project portion of my goals calendar so you guys could see what it looks like. And already I can see some concessions that I'll need to make. So if I'm looking at this calendar, I can see like there are definitely going to be nights where I'm going to have to choose between passion project or rest and relaxation. There are definitely going to be some days where I'm going to have to choose between leaving work on time early enough to get to the gym. The point is that I can now visually see where my time is being spent and make those choices actively instead of making time choices as decisions come at me in my day. Color coding is really important, and it's really for the automatic recognition of what I'm doing with my time. So for example, if I'm looking at this calendar and a meeting needs to move or a task needs to move, it happens all the time. You're almost never going to stick with your plan, right? When do we ever stick with our plans? And I'm dragging and dropping a meeting and I might see, ooh, I am pulling an orange time block over a blue time block. And I know that orange is mental health and blue is work. So I might be sacrificing something at work to try to make time for something that's like rest related or fun related or friends and family related, and I need to be conscious of that. Or it might be the other way around, where I get an invite for a work meeting that's happening a little later than normal and I see that I'm dragging a blue block over an orange block. And I might think to myself, okay, I'm, automatically, because I know that the first block is blue and the second block is orange, then I'm doing something at work in sacrifice of rest later in the day. And both of those scenarios might be totally okay. The point is not that changes can't be made. The point is that now I am automatically visually triggering to myself, hey, you've moved a lot of late night meetings over your mental health time this week. Or, hey, you canceled the gym a lot of times this week so that you could work on your passion project. Or maybe the other way around. Hey, you've said no to a few late night meetings this week. Make sure that you're on top of whatever's happening with that project when you get in next week. But the point is that those colors provide a visual cue of what major goal you're sacrificing for another major goal automatically without you even having to think about it in the middle of your busy day. Last step is to actually use your calendar each week. I have a calendar block on Fridays here, which you can't see because it's a part of my work calendar, but it's a block of time where I just plan to plan the next week. I do this in the morning on a Friday when I am most refreshed, right after I've eaten breakfast, had my caffeine, and done a journaling session. And this allows me to be in the right headspace to make tough decisions. We often make worse decisions as the day goes on and as we get more tired. So I try to block out time to do this in the morning when I'm best equipped to help myself for the next week. I also recommend editing your calendar as you go to reflect what actually happens in real life. She just got to show up whenever she wants to show up. This is her desk, not mine. Anyway, going back and editing your calendar so that it reflects reality is going to help you make better planning decisions as you plan the weeks moving forward. So that's it. That's the system that got me through burnout and has kept me unburnt out so far. For me, the overworking that got me to burnout was so much about fear. If I didn't do it all and quickly, then I would never be successful. And the system has just helped me balance a little bit better that I can do it all. I just need to do some of it next week and rest this week so I can continue chugging along. And what it's really brought me is hope that I can achieve all of my goals and my dreams without sacrificing my happiness and my mental health. And I hope that it helped you too. If you're interested in a written breakdown of this article, check out the link in the description, originally posted on Medium. Follow me there, follow me here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.